Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear class. Today, my lecture topic is diagnosis of poisoning, duties of doctor in case of poisoning, and treatment of poisoning. So, treatment of poisoning is a long topic. It will continue in next two lectures. Before that, we have studied or discussed regarding poisoning. We have discussed classification of poisons. We have discussed important definitions like toxicology, poison, and other important definitions. We have talked about branches of toxicology and toxicity rating scale. We have also discussed factors affecting toxicity of poisons. So you have to revise. All these things are new and important. So you can study and go through Parekh chapter 36, and then this new topic, to understand and study this new topic, you need to revise the previous ones. Coming to first discussion today, diagnosis of poisoning. So what is diagnosis means? That means to diagnose, to find out what is the cause of poisoning and which poison is used and what type of treatment has to be given. That also depends on diagnosis. So to diagnose a case of poisoning, doctor has to be familiar with important signs and symptoms in living persons and with its effects in dead people. So this diagnosis will be under two headings: diagnosis in living people and diagnosis in dead people. So poisoning in living again may be acute or chronic. So what is acute poisoning? There are some important characteristics of acute poisoning. You can find out a case of acute poisoning by history, clinical examination, and investigations. So in acute poisoning, symptoms suddenly appear after intake of suspected food, drug, or fluid. That means the person was alright, healthy, he had no symptoms and signs before taking something suspicious. That person was in good health before. This is next point. Now third point is some other people who took the same material from the same source. Like if few people, they went to a restaurant and there they were offered food or drinks and all of them got sick. So that also clearly indicates that source of poisoning or diagnosis of poisoning is from that food which was served to them in a restaurant. Symptoms in acute poisoning, they rapidly increase in severity. So the person who was in good health before intake of something, then he suddenly becomes ill and rapidly he becomes very serious and he may die. The symptoms may be so intense, or due to treatment or some good luck he may recover also. Now this poison which he took can be detected in ingested food. That means whatever he ate or any medicine he took or vomitus. Generally, this is natural defense or treatment of a poison. The person who gets something, he starts vomiting, and that vomit may contain that poisonous material. Similarly, gastric lavage or stomach wash is a procedure done to remove poison from the stomach. So that gastric lavage fluid also contains poison, so that can be determined. That helps in diagnosis. Similarly, blood, urine and stool of the victims are sent to lab for analysis or detection of poison. So all these points, history, clinical examination, investigations and onset set of symptoms and arise rapidly, and other points discussed just now, they all help to diagnose poisoning in acute poisoning cases and in living people. Now, chronic poisoning, again, this is in living persons, because when a person dies, there is no chronic poisoning or acute, it's a different case. So, in chronic poisoning, symptoms develop insidiously and gradually. That means they are very, very slow. First, it doesn't. They don't point out towards poisoning. There may be slight fever or restlessness or malaise. So these symptoms are non-specific and very slow to develop. So generally, the doctors or the patient himself doesn't think about it may be due to poisoning. Then the symptoms increase in severity when that poison, which is affecting them slowly and gradually, if that is brought more quantity of it or given to them, if they get in contact with that poison more frequently, or then their symptoms increase. And if they are removed from those surroundings or environment where they are inhaling something or getting something in food, and if that source is removed from them, then they generally get better and symptoms may disappear completely. This type of poison or chemical can also be detected in food they are eating, and the medicine or body fluids, or in vomit or in urine and stools. So their body fluids and tissues and food samples, they may contain this poison and it can be diagnosed. Sometimes in chronic poisoning there are repeated attacks of undiagnosed GIT irritation, like which results in diarrhea, vomiting, pain, weight loss, loss of appetite. So such things, along with main symptoms, that means malaise. Malaise means weakness and gradual deterioration of health. So all these, especially the repeated attacks of GIT problems, indicates that it may be due to chronic poisoning. So whenever such patients go to OPD or to physicians, they must keep in mind that these symptoms may be due to some chronic poisoning. That was about poisoning in living, which may be acute or chronic. Now we come to poisoning in dead people, those who have died due to poisoning. And the evidence of poisoning will depend on 4 points or under 4 headings, like history. Number 1, history and circumstantial evidence. Number 2, autopsy or post-mortem examination of dead body. Number 3, experiments on animals. And number 4, chemical analysis. As far as history and circumstantial evidence is concerned, that is very important. That helps doctor to diagnose, or to at least go towards, it gives a lead towards diagnosis of poisoning or which poison may be. So this history or circumstantial evidence means what was patient doing before death, what he ate, whom he met, what was any drug or chemical was he using, was he sick or was he healthy, and who were the people who met him before death. So his family can provide, or close relatives who are close to him or friends can provide such information which can help to diagnose a case of poisoning, but it won't be very accurate. It will be then autopsy examination will be done on the request of police by the medical doctors who are assigned to do this duty, and this I will discuss in the next slide. Now, third point is experiment on animals. So sometimes that food, vomitus or drug or chemical which is suspected or supposed to have caused death in that person may be fed to animal like cat or dog, and that animal after consuming that poison may die or probably will die. So that will confirm the diagnosis of case of poisoning. Number 4 is chemical analysis, which I will discuss after autopsy. Now, second point was autopsy. As I told you, autopsy or post-mortem examination is done on the request of police in suspected case of poisoning and foul play. Since here we are discussing poisoning, so police will inform or request doctors to conduct this examination, that is the examination of dead body. It includes examination of clothes, external examination and internal examination after opening the body cavities. This is done in a special place which is called mortuary, that is usually in the forensic medicine department of a teaching hospital, and in other hospitals it may be DHQs and THQs, it may be there. Those may be non-teaching institutions. So this autopsy is conducted by a doctor or medical officer on duty. So on external examination, he can also examine clothes of the victim or dead person, and examination of the body surfaces. So there he will note down stains, any stains of the chemical, any chemical or poison which may be in liquid form, which may be found on the clothes or body of the victim. So there may be smell of poison. Some poisons, they have characteristic smell, like hydrocyanic acid and cyanide. They give bitter almond smell. Similarly, phosphorus, in case of phosphorus poisoning, there is garlic smell. So these peculiar smells or particular smells, they point out towards suspicion of poisoning. Now, condition of skin, there may be signs of inflammation, there may be signs of injury, wounds, and there may be color changes on skin, and due to poisoning, and hypostasis also, discoloration of skin due to pooling of blood, but this also may be, it is usually purple or red, but it may have different colors due to some poisons. Like in case of opium poisoning, this skin color may be black, and in case of carbon monoxide poisoning, it may be cherry red color. So similarly, some like sulfuric acid poisoning, it may have brown color. So these color changes also indicate that the death may be due to poisoning. Now there can be injection marks on the body, that the person may be addict and have died due to overdose of that chemical or toxic drug, and there will be multiple injection marks on the body, especially where there are blood vessels or veins, superficial veins. Then froth is some kind of जिसको उर्दू में झाग कहते हैं, that is mixture of fluid and gases that is usually white in color, that comes out of the mouth and nostrils in some cases of poisoning. Then there may be rigor mortis. This is contraction of muscles, and then there may be oral and nasal cavities. There can be smell of coming out from oral and nasal cavities. Smell of the specific poisons may be coming out. So these are few tips or headings under which external examination will help the examiner to diagnose poisoning. Now, what is internal examination? That the examiner will give incisions in chest and cranium, and then expose those cavities, thorax, abdomen and cranium, and then he will see the condition of internal organs for poisoning, for inflammation, for changes which may occur due to poisoning, or some poisonous material may be detected inside on internal examination. Now, during external examination and internal examination, the specimens will be collected and that will be sent to lab. So that will also help to diagnose poisoning. So number 4 point in cases of poisoning in dead was chemical analysis. So for chemical analysis during autopsy examination, as I told, doctor will collect specimens, and those specimens will be preserved, then sealed in bottles and containers, and then will sent to chemical examiner lab, or presently all this is sent to forensic lab, Punjab Forensic Lab in Lahore. So those what he will collect from organs, in bottle number 1, there will be 4 bottles. In bottle number 1, the examiner will place stomach with its contents. Since the ingested poisons can be found in stomach still when they are unabsorbed. In bottle number 2, proximal part of small intestine with contents. So if the poison is still present in intestine, it will be detected. Bottle number 3 will contain part of liver, spleen and 1 kidney of that dead person. So these are the organs, important organs where poison can be found. Then in bottle number 4 will be preservative, that is saturated solution of sodium chloride. That will be full of that preservative, but in these other three bottles there will be preservative along with organs. So these were organs. Then body fluids sent to lab will be blood of the victim, urine and bile. As I told you, the preservative used is saturated solution of sodium chloride for toxicology or chemical analysis. Next is what are duties of doctor in case of poisoning? So the main important duty of every doctor in any case of disease or poisoning is medical duty, that is to save the life of patient, to treat patients, to assess their condition and then proceed to life-saving therapy, that may be specific or general therapy. So along with this medical duty, there are some legal duties. Since forensic medicine is a legal medicine and it is a branch of medicine which deals with law and medical legal aspects, it is for the purpose of law and furthering of justice. So you must know, as when you will become a doctor and medical officer, then you are assigned these duties and you have to perform those medical as well as legal duties. So there are 7 points or steps or 7 types of duties coming under legal duties. This you may be appointed in community as CMO, and then you have to perform these duties when a case of victim of poisoning is brought to emergency. It may be homicidal poisoning, it may be suicidal poisoning, it may be accidental poisoning. So what will be the first duty of a doctor? That is of record keeping. Whenever a patient is brought to you, you have to write his name, address, sex, age and other biodata. Then you have to determine his identity. So you will enter all those information you will enter. Then you will have to do the medical assessment and then treatment. That means you will note down all signs, symptoms and vomitus, pulse, respiratory rate, treatment given. All these things you will do and you will write in your treatment notes. So that means everything should be in writing. If the patient or many patients came with history of food poisoning, so that it becomes a case of danger to public health. So in that case, you will notify to public health authorities of the area so that they can take care of that and prevent that problem. Now, in case of homicidal poisoning, you as a doctor will inform police. So that is very important duty, legal duty. Police will come and they will investigate the case. So that they are supposed to bring the case to the courts and apprehend the culprit or criminal, if any, and so the court can give punishment to that criminal. This is legal duty of doctor to inform police. Number 4 is he will collect all samples and specimens which I have discussed in previous slide, like maybe organs, maybe fluids, maybe tissues. So these he will collect and put them in containers and seal them and preserve them and send to lab via police. So this is also his legal duty. Number 5, preparation of medical legal certificate, also called MLC, if victim survives. So the victim of poisoning may die or may not die and may recover. So if he survives, if he is alive after treatment, then you will issue him a medical legal certificate of poisoning. That will be again a proof of poisoning which he will produce in court in his favor. Number 6, if the recording of dying declaration. Now, dying declaration is a statement of the victim of poisoning or any death, homicidal death, where death is imminent and the victim is about to die and there is no witness to tell the court, so doctor has to trust on his statement of dying person that at this time of death he is not telling a lie. So he will record his patient's or victim's statement about circumstances of that act. Like in case of poisoning, he may disclose, he might be knowing the offender or criminal and give his name and other circumstances of his death. So that is also recording of dying declaration is legal duty of attending physician. Now last and 7 is if the patient dies, then the doctor will issue death certificate for him. That is his legal duty, and will inform police about his death, and the police will arrange then autopsy examination of that person. That is also mandatory by law. But this doctor who was in emergency will not perform autopsy. He will only issue death certificate. So these are 7 legal duties of a doctor in cases of poisoning. They are very important. SEQ generally asked from this topic. After that I come to treatment part, which will continue in next 2 lectures. So first, what are the general principles of treatment? So that is, if the poison is known, the doctor should proceed specific treatment, can proceed, give him antidote of that poison or whatever is required to do. And if he doesn't know, there is not enough information to determine the specific poison, then he will treat on general lines. That means non-specific treatment of poisoning. And the aim of treatment, what is the aim of treatment, is to help patient to stay alive. So that is the main aim, that the patient shouldn't die. And so what he has to see for that, along with treatment of poisoning, he has to take care of respiration, circulation, airways. So these are vital systems, as they are called A, B, C. A means airways, cleaning of airways. B, breathing or respiration, take care of that. So maintenance of breathing is vital. Then C, circulation, that means maintenance of circulation is also very important to keep the patient alive. So that was about that is about vital systems and organs. That is one aim. The other aim is to get rid of poison by metabolism or excretion of poison due to any means, which we will discuss later. And third aim is to prevent further damage and manage complications. So what are objects of treatment or protocol of treatment or steps of treatment? They are 6. Number 1, remove patient from source. So whatever is causing poisoning to him, maybe something in environment, maybe some other source, he must be removed from that source. So the poison source must be removed from the patient, or patient should be separated from that source. That is the first step. Then in case of ingested poisons, if the patient or victim is brought to hospital within 2 to 6 hours or soon after the act of poisoning, then unabsorbed poison which may be found in stomach can be removed by certain methods like stomach wash and emesis. Number third is use of antidotes. Antidotes are remedies which counteract the action of poison or neutralize it. So they are also used when the poison is absorbed. Number four is elimination of absorbed poison. So poison may be removed from body by some means like dialysis, that is called elimination of poison. Then treatment of general symptoms. There are some general symptoms of poisoning like pain, fever, and other weakness, etc. that can be treated also. Then number six is maintenance of patient's general condition, that is nursing care, taking care of his hygiene, and if there is any infection, then treat that infection, and other if the patient is depressed, then some psychotherapy and psychiatric assessment and help is required. So these come under general conditions. So these are 6 headings which I told you. So the number one step was removal of unabsorbed poisons. So how we can remove unabsorbed poison? So principles of treatment of unabsorbed poison removal depend upon route of entry of poison. So we have discussed route of entry by that is inhalation, ingestion and application on skin. So if the poisons are inhaled, then the patient is removed to fresh air. That means he is removed away from the source of poison. Then you have to clear airways so that mucus is not deposited and so breathing is smooth. Then artificial respiration may be required because he may not have enough oxygen. Now, in case of injected poisons, there can be application of tourniquet proximal to point of poisoning, like in snake poisoning or other some drug injections. A tourniquet is applied to prevent the spread of poison to neighboring areas. Then incision and suction can be done to get that poison out from that area. In case of contact poisons, that means when they are sprayed on skin or applied on skin, that skin is washed with plain warm water and then specific antidote is given. Number 4, in cases of ingested poisons. Now the object or aim is to remove poison from stomach as soon as and as much as possible. So for this 3 measures are important. emesis, number 1 emesis, number 2 gastric lavage, and number 3 use of cathartics. So emesis will cause vomiting and they will help to in taking out of poison. Gastric lavage will help to remove poison from stomach, and cathartics will help to remove poison from via stools. So with that I conclude today's lecture. These 3 methods and other types of treatment will be taken in the next lecture. Thank you.